Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. All individuals entering city-operated facilities, including City Hall, are required to wear non-medical face masks. Those at the table are not required to wear the masks while sitting, as long as they're distanced 6 feet from anyone else. Once you leave your seat at the table, you must put the mask back on. As directed by Manitoba Health, we're requesting people avoid close contact within 2 meters. With anyone showing symptoms of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing, if you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting that you excuse yourself from the room. We have somebody coming online?
Just the one person.
Okay, please note, when you join the meeting via Zoom, all participants will be in the waiting room and your microphone will be muted until the host lets you into the room. You can watch the hearing live via the City Board of Revision YouTube channel. When called upon, you will be allowed from the waiting room. I'm going to bring this up. And permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once you have been heard, you can continue to watch the hearing live via City Board of Revision YouTube channel. If participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'll introduce the panel members first. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. Kent Seelin is to the far left, and Gisela Rempel is to my left. Our secretary today is Belen Rojo. The assessor today will be Candace Wright. We will be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Use of cell phones is not permitted except by approval of the chair. And we'll close that. And now we'll move on to the first one on the docket, which would be 255 Creek Bend Road, and that'll be Karen Smith. And we're going to start, Karen, with the assessor. So when you're ready, assessor. Candace, you're up. Oh, well, let's get you sworn in first. Good idea.
Your full name, Candace Wright. You affirm the evidence to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. Please state your full name.
Karen Smith.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Candace, when you're ready.
Thank you. The subject property is roll number 0808-121-9440. The address is 255 Creek Bend Road. This is a vacant property located in the Royalwood neighborhood. It has RR5 zoning and is 11.3 acres. It is adjacent to the same river, adjacent to a rail line, and has no water and no sewer. The 2021 assessment for this property is $885,000, which works out to $78,319 per acre. I have 5 comparable properties here, and I've provided a map for your reference. Comparables 1 and 2 are directly adjacent to the subject property. Comparable 3 is fairly close in Sage Creek, and then comparables 4 and 5 are quite a bit further away. I just used them as other examples of vacant RR5 zone property sales. The area for these properties ranges from 6.76 to 101.86 acres. All of these properties have no water and no sewer. Comparables 1 and 2 are also adjacent to the rail line, and comparables 3 and 5 have a heavy traffic influence. The sale price per acre of these properties ranged from $68,362 to $106,891. So I feel that the assessment of the subject property at $78,319 is supported by comparables.
Do you have any questions of the assessor, Karen?
No.
Okay, Clint, Kent, any questions?
More questions, Mr. Chair?
Gisela,
No questions, thank you.
does it show up on the map where this property is in here?
It does. It's the map because they're fairly far apart. It's really small. The subject is the yellow, the long rectangular lot.
Oh, right down here. Long lot, so it's Creek Bend, that's the one back here. So it's on the other side of the same.
I've also provided an aerial photo as well.
So there's an aerial photo as well, perfect. Okay, on with your presentation then, Karen.
Well, I'd just like to know how you can justify 165% increase in my property tax from 2019 to 2020.
That's your question. The tax isn't what we're dealing with, Karen. We're dealing with the assessment value.
Well, the assessment value went up from 324,000 to 885,000, which is 165%.
There's the question for you.
I can't really speak to the previous assessment. When we do new assessments, we don't look at the previous assessment, we look at the sales data. So the sales data I provided shows that properties are selling for within that range per acre.
So you're penalizing me because somebody sold property and you figure my land, which is landlocked, because you can see that from the map, has that value. It's worthless to anybody because you can't develop it because Precinct K says you can't develop till the Ward Street Bridge goes in. And who knows when that's going to be. And you expect me to pay $6,000 in taxes?
We have to base our assessment on comparable sales evidence. And the first 2 comparables are directly adjacent to your property that sold for just over $80,000 per acre.
Well, I don't think that's really fair. It may be assessed at that value, but it's not worth that until I have an offer in writing, which I don't.
We'll let you put your presentation after. I don't think she's not going to be able to answer that question. But you can put that in your presentation on why you think it's too high. But we're just going to see if there's any other questions. I think we already asked you guys, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Let's hear your presentation, Karen, on why you think it's too high.
Well, I think, like the other properties in the area went up, 1 to 2%, and mine went up 165%. I just don't understand how it can go up that much money when it's an empty lot.
You have anything further to add?
No.
Kent, do you have any questions?
Yes, you mentioned your property is landlocked. You have no roads.
Well, I have 255 and I have 265, which is right next to it.
I apologize, is there no roads into it? Like
Pardon
you said,
me?
it's landlocked. Are there no roads?
No, the only way you can get to it is up my lane. I have a lane. If you look at the aerial map, there's a lane coming up from Creek Bend. And there's like the red circle around 255. That's the only access to it. And that lane belongs to 265, which is mine. And my property taxes went up 2.6%.
They went up what?
2.6.
Which property is yours? The one to the west?
Nope, south.
One to the south. Which one is that?
It's from the river to the rail line.
I see the rail line.
Okay, well, it's directly south of 255.
South of 255.
So it's
on,
towards Creek Bend Road.
So it's the other side of the road?
No, it's on the same side. They're adjacent.
Oh, that's right. This is the road here. This is the railway track here. Creek Bend is here.
Yeah.
So it's totally landlocked. So
They're both well, mine isn't landlocked because I have the lane. But my property taxes only went up 265 or 2.6%, and
but you're on Creek Bend then?
Yes.
And your land is going
the same direction as 255 from the river to the railway track.
You guys catching this? Because maybe I'm just sleeping today. I'm just going to step over there and have a look at her map a little bit.
What's your map?
I know. Point to me where your property is built. Not my map, it's her map.
My property is right here. There's my house right there.
Yeah.
There's that 265.
And your access comes up this way.
This is the lane here.
And that goes through these two this property.
Well, this property belongs to one fellow. This property belongs to another one. This belongs to somebody else. And this is the one that they're talking about that got sold.
That's on the other side of the tracks.
That's right.
Yeah. So this one here.
This is the one that they've raised 165%. This one went up 2.6%, which, I don't have a problem with that.
What kind of egress do you have on that? What kind of permission do you have to use that roadway?
Well, there was a caveat that when we built our house, because the lane belongs to 265, we had to provide a caveat from the city for emergency vehicles and stuff like that. And I believe that's still in effect, but I'm not sure.
So the two properties that the assessor is using, they're on the other side of the tracks. So they'd have access to that from the Rollwood side, correct?
From the road, yeah, because Creek Bend dead ends across the track. There's two houses on the south side of Creek Bend, on the other side of the track, and then the road dead ends.
But the track is run this way.
Yeah, it's the US line. It runs north-south.
So Candace, are the lots on that side developable on the other side of the track? Are they developable?
Qualico is coming down. I can see them from the road.
Yeah, they were purchased.
It's part of Island Lakes.
So they're developable.
Yes, as far as I know.
And this one is on the other side of the track.
Well, this I understand from the people I've talked to, that they want it for phase 3 of Royalwood, but the last offer I had was withdrawn because they were told they couldn't develop it until the the Ward Street Bridge went in, and that was a 10-year plan.
Would that be Ward that would run right where it says 4 Mile Road? Is that gonna be the Ward Avenue?
No, Ward is
No,
up a little.
it's
You can see
north.
it on the map.
It would probably be the lot that's on the north side of 255. It would probably be on the north side of that. Like, I don't know if you know St. Patal at
Yeah, I know the area well.
all. Where Ward Street comes out onto St. Anne's, there's a school and a senior's home. And Ward Street is supposedly supposed to go through between them.
Actually, I think I'm right, guys. Ward does run through there. If
I
that's
see
where,
it right at
you
the
see where
top.
Ward is?
Right at the top of the,
Okay.
sorry, the map's
See-
not there anymore now.
But Ward comes down the other side and runs towards there.
Yeah, but it doesn't cross the river
It
yet.
doesn't
and
cross
it
the
doesn't
river.
cross St. Anne's yet.
No, and it doesn't, the other part where the condos are built on Ward on the other side, close.
If you go back to the other map that was presented by the assessor.
That's where I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see Ward there. And it appears to end at St. Anne's.
It does.
But it doesn't go through this property. There's no connection between Ward and Ward yet. There's a dead spot
Yes.
because there's no bridge to go over. Isn't Ward the one that's supposed to have the bridge eventually?
Yes.
That's the next bridge to be built. And it's not on, until that bridge goes in, that can't be developed, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Were you aware of that, Candace? Do you see where I'm talking, where Ward is?
Yeah.
And there's a junction that's in between that's not built? It's because they have to build a bridge over the creek there. And there's no access from the other side. So that's two of your comparables. Can we go back to your other comparables whilst we're here? Your one that you have in St. Norbert, is that the property on Waverly and Trappist? Is that one?
I'm actually not completely sure. It's difficult with these agricultural properties with no actual address assigned to them. You can see on the map I provided, it's kind of in the what I'm looking for, the curve of the river there. It hasn't been developed. I searched the property and there's been, it is owned by Qualico, but there's been no development progress that.
No, that's not Qualico on that one.
Or sorry, no, it's a different developer.
That's a different developer.
Yeah.
That's the Bush.
Yeah.
Do you have any history on that property?
No,
I wouldn't use that one either. And the Sage Creek one, well, I know that property. I know this one. All of yours are in developable areas, is that correct?
yes.
What would that do to the value of a property if it's undevelopable because there's no access at this time?
Well, it would negatively affect the market.
And you haven't put that in play, have you?
We have notes on file from the appellant that Qualico did offer to purchase this property at one point. So we were under the impression that it was being speculated that it could be developed at some point.
And then Qualico backed down as she spoke to it. That's because they couldn't develop it.
Well, they backed out because they tied 5 or 4 sales together. And the other people weren't interested in what they were offering. So once one backed out, we all had to back out.
And were all 4 of those properties related to the building of the bridge?
No. This was even before we knew when the bridge was going to be built. This was done in 13 and 14. So 13 was the offer, and the land on the east side of the track got sold. But it had to be, part of that was my property, and it had to be separated because it was all part and parcel of the 2 lots. So Qualico went and had it separated into its own land title. And then they bought the one that's right on the road and the triangle that's behind it on the north side.
The little triangle.
Well, both of them. Well,
Yeah.
it's 2 parts because it was part of both 255 and 265. And so they had to separate both pieces and put it in their own land title.
And you own both of those other properties as well?
No, only the triangle.
Only the triangle.
The other lot was owned by somebody else, but they tied 255, 265, 275, which is the smaller lot beside the lane.
Mhm.
And then the other acreage is owned by somebody else, but they tied all 4 of them together.
So you had mentioned that Qualico offered to purchase was it 5 properties, and he says.
Well, 4 technically. The land titles at that time said 4 properties.
And because some property owners didn't agree to the value they were offering, they withdrew all offers.
Yes, they were all
So-
tied together in the offer.
So if they had agreed with what they were offering to purchase for, it would have gone through.
Not necessarily. No. One of the owners was very reluctant to sell based on what they were offered.
And what did they offer?
$80,000 an acre.
But those properties were the ones that were on Creek Bend, is that correct? They had the access to Creek Bend.
Yes.
But Creek Bend still does not have any services on it.
Nope.
And there's no way to bring the service in there.
No. I understand there's gas
Yeah,
runs
there's-
down the street,
Yeah.
but like I'm so far off the road, it would cost me a small fortune to bring it in. So I don't.
Do you have any other further questions, Candace? I'm trying to.
I think that covers all my questions.
How many acres is it?
Um,
We got it by square foot.
255 is supposedly left at 11.3 acres.
11.3?
That's what her map says, or her document.
May I ask how long you've owned the property?
My husband owned it originally, and his father bought the original 255 in 1932. And then he acquired, additional acreage over the years. So we built our house in 1988 on 265, and his mother lived in 255 until she passed away, and then my husband rented it out, the house out. It's no longer there because the city made me tear it down because somebody trespassed on my property.
Can I ask, who told you that this property could not be developed because it's landlocked?
The developer that put in the last offer that they withdrew.
And aside from the developer telling you, did you hear
Well,
that
there was
from the
meetings
city
with,
or?
yeah, I don't know that there was meetings with Precinct K, which I'm not really sure I understand all of that, but I couldn't attend because I was out of town. And it was, I guess, potential development for that entire area.
And was that subsequent to Qualico getting a separate
Yes.
land title for that piece of that property that
Yes,
they hived
yeah, because
off?
that happened in, it took them about 9 months to get that title. And so it would have been after May of 2014.
What is Sioux Road? When I look at this map, there's a road there called.
Yeah, it goes from Creek Bend south along the track and then turns just inside the perimeter at Amy's Auto, which is on the perimeter, and then you have access to the perimeter.
So it dead ends there.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a short road. It does not go across my property from Creek Bend.
I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
Kent, I'm giving you another kick at the cat.
Are you? What's the property north of your property here? I see the property is outlined in red. What's the property north?
The only name I have is Tony, and I don't know if they still own it or not. I have no idea.
There's no residences, there's no homes, it's just vacant.
Just land. Yeah.
Is that the same for the next property past it? Which one?
Past that purple line.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I don't know. You mean between 4 Mile Road and my place? All
Yes,
that land?
there's-
I don't know who owns that.
There's 2 titles in there.
Thank
One,
you. That's
two,
all my
three.
questions.
3 titles. So you said they offered you $9,000 an acre. That's a little over $90,000. 100.
No, 80,000 was
Oh,
the
80.
first time.
I thought you said 8,000.
That was Qualico, yeah. But they only want the land. They didn't want the houses, which we can understand. But, that to take what we have today and get what we need tomorrow to be in the same position, it wasn't worth it. So.
Okay, I think just leave it with us and we'll make our decision.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Karen.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get you the vote down. Applicant done. Missy's gonna come in from outside.
Yes.
After you wipe it down, you can call them in.
You too, thank you.
Always do.
Thanks.
Right on it. Far corner. Right about there somewhere. Yeah, anywhere around there is good. You've been here before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Candace will go first, then you'll be able to ask her questions.
Okay.
And then we'll ask you questions after that when you make your presentation. And if I forget somebody asking questions, please remind me. I made that mistake the other day. I didn't ask somebody. And she's so quiet, she didn't come back at me.
How you got in trouble?
No. That kind of trouble I can take.
Please state your full name.
Timothy David Davis.
And you affirm that you represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brief where? It's in there?
It's a
Okay, I'll go back and check. I didn't see it. File number 3, okay, got it. The brief for the appellant is on the bottom, guys.
Thank you.
Candace, when you're ready, please.
The subject property is roll number 0900856100. This is a vacant piece of land in Trans South with agricultural zoning. It is 9.77 acres, located on an external corner with no sewer, no water. The 2021 assessment on the property is $227,000, which is $23,234 per acre. I have 3 comparable properties here that are all located in the Transcona South neighborhood with agricultural zoning. The area of these comparables ranges from 7.47 to 16.93 acres. Comparables 1 and 2 have no sewer and no water, and comparable 3 is located next to a golf course on an external corner with. The sale price on these properties ranges from $245,000 to $400,000, which is a price per acre $23,627 to $32,814 per acre. So I feel the assessment of the subject property at $23,234 per acre is supported by the
Do you have any questions of the assessor?
No, I think I'll reserve my comments to my.
Okay. Gisela, any questions?
No.
Kent?
No questions, Mr. Chair?
Which comparables do you think were the best ones here? The one on Bates or?
sales are very limited. I would say, I guess, comparables 1 and 2, just because they're the most similar in size.
These are all existing roadways, correct? Around the properties?
I believe.
So that's what I'd like to disagree with.
Yeah, that's where we're going to come to you on your presentation. And I've got no further questions, so let's go on to your presentation.
Have you had a chance to read the presentation?
You want to touch on some areas in it?
Yes, please. So under the first point, and even on this map that I was given when we came in, it shows Bates Avenue existing south of Esselmont. Bates Avenue there is no Bates Avenue. If you look at my presentation at the actual site photos that were recent, and from day one, I am assuming back when the subdivision was taken out, the city or whoever is responsible was intending on continuing Bates Avenue south of Esselmont to hook up to St. Boniface Road, similar to the next street over, which is Foch, or the following street over, Simonton Road. That was never carried forward. So in essence, especially lot 40, especially lot 50, and to a certain extent lot 49 are landlocked. So I don't see how the comparison exists between comparison number 1 on Bates Avenue, which has a frontage road to that, can be compared to lots 49, lots 50. And the mistake exists to this day, even on this map that we were given today. So I think with that in mind, it obviously changes what can be assessed.
Is that your full presentation?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Secondly,
Carry on.
Secondly, in looking, I just did some, as a private individual, I'm not a statistician or whatever, but I did do some market research about the way the city does conduct its modeling. And it seems as if the tables are somewhat tilted towards, obviously, what would be considered residential properties. This is not a residential property. It's not zoned as residential. It has no services, no water, no sewer, no road in front of it. So if the actual, constant component in that mathematical equation is the underlying basic, the base vacant land value, well, then I'm assuming that would extend to, for instance, infill lots in existing subdivisions, those sorts of lots that are totally uncomparable to lot 49, lot 50 in this case. And then carrying on with how the computation of the equation is carried out, I looked at the 11 primary and 8 secondary variables, and of those 19 variables, only 3, which is the neighborhood, Transcona, the lot size, and site influences apply. So I think in terms of how the modeling is applied to the assessment value, we're talking vacant farmland here and not residential vacant land. And I think that's a hard distinction. For instance, on the map that the city provided to the west of the subject property, there's a 96-acre plot of vacant farmland. Again, no sewer, no water, and the whole 96-acre plot is valued at $450,000, and that equates to $4,687 per acre. Lots 49 and 50 are 9.8 acres, and their assessed value is $227, as mentioned earlier.
Just to let you know, we don't deal with assessed values. They could be wrong. So assessed values, we don't put much weight on them. We don't put any weight on them.
Yeah, I think that's my contention, is that the assessed value is wrong.
They might be. That's up to the city to catch them, not us.
Additionally, in my presentation, we included an opinion of market value dated October 17th, 2019 that we did because of an estate settlement that was involving the 2 properties as well. These properties originally were owned by my 2 uncles who are passed away. And then going back, I believe the date for was established as April 1st, 2018 for the 2020 reassessment. So the only landlocked piece of property that I could find, there certainly were no sales in Transcona. The only one that I could find was, and what I've had a copy attached to in my presentation, is in the Wilkes area, in southwestern Winnipeg. And the sales of that were, $6,703 per acre. We're being assessed at $23,000, over $23,000 an acre. And I guess what brought me to Board of Revision today was that from the 2019 taxes to the 2020 taxes represented a 76% increase. And if we're basing that on what little sales that exist in Transcona, I'm assuming then that some of that is based on, in terms of the modeling, sales across the whole city of Winnipeg. With very little narrow expectation that the city is ever going to build Bates Avenue or rezone for residential use. I don't see how the 76% increase is justified in this case.
Candace, any questions?
Yes, you had mentioned the property being landlocked. It does, St. Boniface Road does run on the south portion.
That's correct. But
None of the
other properties are allowed to approach from St. Boniface Road. If you look at every individual property on St. Simon's Road and Foch, none of them have approaches off St. Boniface Road.
Okay, but you can access your property down St. Boniface Road.
You're not allowed to access your property.
If
you were going to develop that, no other properties have approaches from St. Boniface Road. They have approaches from Foch, from Symington Road, and so on.
And they won't allow approaches.
I'm not sure of that, but to this date, no one has approaches installed from St. Boniface Road. So that was my contention.
And I just have another question.
Sure.
Our records show that in 2013, the title of the property transferred,
Right.
and we had the sworn value at that time at $200,000. Are you aware of that value, or do you know where that value came from?
$250,000.
Yeah, sworn value from land.
No, I'm not aware where that came from.
Okay, thank you.
Gisela?
Yes, I'm wondering, first of all, I'm a little confused because I haven't had a chance to read through this. We just received it right now. But when I look at this letter you've got here from this real estate agent,
Yes.
am I correct in assuming, now I'm trying to get back to that page.
That's the last two pages, or
Here we
second
go.
last two pages.
Okay, so it's dated October 17th, 2019.
Correct.
And under the subject property description, it says the 2019 assessment was $227,000. Is that correct?
I believe not. No, I think the 2020 assessment was $227,000. I have my tax statements here, so I can certainly check for you. So for 2020, 227,000. For 2019, 124,000.
So it was 124,000 in 2019?
On my 2019 tax statement, yes. 124,000 on the 2018 tax statement as well. And then going back to 2017, 103,000.
Okay. The other question I had was, have you ever tried to sell the property?
No. So as I mentioned earlier, it belonged to both of my uncles.
Yes.
Who resided in Transcona. They worked at CNR. I'm assuming back in the 70s when they saw the property for sale, either they were planning on building on the property themselves both uncles perhaps taking one lot, because there is 2 lots and 2 titles, that they were perhaps going to do one house for each of them, but didn't for whatever reason. The only reason that I actually have part ownership is through succession, in terms of my father first became a partial owner, and then when my father died, my sister, myself, and so on. And then recently, just last year, the majority owner of my other uncle passed away, and so as a part of his estate settlement, then that's been divided up again. So title has changed to the estate of, plus a small portion of 12th to my sister and myself.
Do you and the other successors have plans for the property?
We don't have consensus. My own view would be that we probably try to sell the property. We don't have any real interest in developing it for ourselves, I don't think. But without having Bates in front of us, I think our only recourse is to perhaps try to sell to the property owner to our west. I think if you look at what's happening in the Transcona area, there are some pocket developments. Waterside Cove off of, which is west on a dual road, being a good example, where with a parcel of perhaps 120 acres or whatever, they've established a small subdivision. So given that kind of scale of development, I think that would be reasonable, that without the city going and building Bates Avenue south from Esselmont and providing frontages for those for our lots, then we would probably try to sell to the person to our west, and then his square of land would be more, it would obviously increase and allow more development in terms of a scale of development that would add on another 10 acres or so. I can't speak for any of the other landlocked. There are 4 more landlocked lots south of Esselmont. But I think that would be, I mean, that's really, I don't see any future really development happening there.
Thank you. That's all.
Ken?
Is there something preventing you from accessing St. Boniface Road? Is there something preventing you from accessing St. Boniface Road?
I just, in driving the area, it is a large, there is large ditches on both sides, so I don't know if that's something to do with the drainage there as well. I know that South Transcona had suffered until they built the actual stormwater where they do the water skiing and so on. There was always almost annual spring flooding in those areas. But any of the other subject properties, you just know, no one has the driveway off of St. Boniface Road. The driveways are always off of the side streets. We haven't really looked into that in terms of being able to approach across that. Thank you.
Have you got the city's map there, the overhead shot?
This one?
No, the overhead, the one with the picture of the.
Yeah.
If you go to the one to the right, you'll notice that there's 2 lots there that have access onto St. Boniface Road.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
So that lot could be subdivided onto St. Boniface Road and have 2 lots. Correct?
I guess I don't know if you'd be able to subdivide north-south.
Why not? But it's not landlocked. It's got St. Boniface Road right beside it. Landlocked is when you have no access. This one has access from St. Boniface Road.
Right, but this is two lots under 2 separate titles.
Yeah. But those are, that red mark is 2 lots under separate titles?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Why is it only showing up as 1 title here?
It's lots
Is
49.
it showing up as 1 title or?
Yeah, we have it assessed as 1. There are 2 lots, but we have it as 1 title.
1 title. And you have 2 titles on it?
2 title numbers on my tax statement.
Can you
Number 2692416 and number 1397196.
So what's the tax on one? What's the assessed value on one?
They're together as one number here on my tax statement.
Well, you just read me two other numbers.
Yeah, I'm assuming these are the title numbers above that. Does that make sense?
I'd have to look at it. You want to look at it? Because I don't have to slide my mask on.
It's actually in my.
Is it in here?
Yes, the last page I included that. The last page of my.
Last page.
Yeah, it should be my 2020 tax statement.
Have you got it there, Candace?
I have it.
So I'm assuming those numbers perhaps you could.
I'm sorry, where are the numbers here?
Right below the roll number, those two title numbers. Title number 2692416 and then a separate 1397196. Am I reading that incorrectly? Is that all one number or is that two separate numbers? Seems to me that's two.
There's only one roll number for the whole property.
Yeah, we have it assessed as one property.
It's assessed as one property. Yeah, it's not split up. I don't see, lot 49 and 50. Probably under the original, it was 49 and 50, but for some reason it's just showing up as one roll number.
Right. So it's designated as two lot numbers as well, with separate title numbers.
I wouldn't, I guess they could have separate, no, they wouldn't have separate titles, would they, Candace? If it's got one roll number, how can you have two separate titles?
I wouldn't think so. I'll look into that.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could clarify for us, because then it would be treated as one lot versus two lots then,
But it is being treated as one lot.
It's treated as one lot.
under the roll number.
Yeah.
And then what as in terms of tax.
So when you had it evaluated, he evaluated the entire piece as one piece?
I'm assuming he evaluated.
I have no personal interest in lot 49 and 50.
Yeah, I'm assuming he thought of it as being two separate lots.
I don't see two separate title numbers here, but perhaps is it on the back of this tax statement that we don't have a copy of?
Right here, right there. Right below the roll number. Right below the roll number, it says
Oh, yes.
title number, and there's two numbers there.
Or is that just one number? 2692416 1397196. Is that what you're referring to, sir?
Yeah, I believe that was two titles. And then I think if you look at the overhead aerial as well, all of the lots in the, that are marked in purple certainly appears to be that the lots originally were 4.8 acres or 4.
Well, on your map, it doesn't show, it does show the same amount of it's right there, split. But it's saying 9.8 acres?
9.77.
That's for the total package.
That's the total of the two lots. That's my understanding.
Let me see.
So
I guess they could get you because it's supposed to be 5-acre lots, isn't it, in that area? Are you aware of that?
So, am I right in thinking that it's the two sales that would spur the 76% increase in the assessment?
So when we do assessments, we don't work off of percent increases. We look at the new sales data each time. So for this 2021 assessment, it was based on the April 1st, 2020 market value. So we use sales that occurred up to that date, as close as possible to that date.
Okay.
So yes, these two 2017 sales definitely would have been reviewed and used in our model to come up with 2020, 2021.
She gave you a lower number on your square footage at 53 cents. There was 54 cents, 75 cents, and 60 cents on the other ones for the actual sales. So she actually lowballed it. Not by much, but by a penny.
Yeah, but comp number one has frontage on Bates.
But you have frontage on St. Boniface.
If it's one lot.
Or you split it as two.
And Bates is a similar size. It's one lot.
Well, Bates would affect, yeah.
And these aren't even recent sales. They're between 2013 and 2017.
Two are from 17 and one was the
But did you bring them up to today's value, or no, you didn't?
No, for farmland, I haven't been using it. For farmland, I generally haven't.
Okay. I've got no further questions. Anything in summation from the city?
I think we covered it.
Okay. And yourself, Tim, anything in summation?
I think without knowing a lot more about the actual underlying fundamentals of the analysis model, I just really have to disagree with the idea of lumping vacant farmland together with residential vacant land. It's zoned residential, then it's zoned residential. I mean, there's certain expectations there. This is vacant farmland, no services.
But she's going as vacant land. She's putting it as agricultural, vacant. That's what the other ones were, vacant agricultural.
Right, but in the modeling, it says that they're using an underlying value as a constant of all vacant land.
We do use zoning, so we would compare vacant agricultural land to vacant agricultural sales, vacant residential sales. We use the values for residential. So we do use zoning, and the vacant agricultural is how we categorize these parcels because they are zoned.
So in the model, then that is a separate category than vacant residential.
Yes.
And in this case, it should have picked up that it was 60 cents a square foot because that one is closer in size to yours. The other one's smaller and the other one's larger. And the smaller one is reflecting it at 75 cents. So leave it with us. We'll make our decision and you'll be hearing from us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Warren, you'll be up next. We'll stay where you are till everything's laid down, okay? I think when Warren's done, we're going to take just a short break, if that's okay with you guys.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, is he next? No, Warren's next.
Warren's next, and
Yeah. Then the Zoom guy. Don't rush. Give it a minute to dry off.
Please state your full name.
Warren Russell Baldwin,
You affirm to demonstrate God represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Next property up will be, all it says is Charles Wood Road. So that'll be number 4. And you've got the appellant's brief beside you. When you are ready, Candace, please.
So the next two properties are directly adjacent to one another, very similar. Should I speak to both?
Might as well do both. Are you okay with that, Warren? Okay, let's deal with them both.
So I'll start with the first property, file number 2378. This property is roll number 0100458900. This is a vacant piece of agricultural land located in the Wilkes South neighborhood. It is 24.6 acres, located on Charles Wood Road, has no water and no sewer. The 2021 assessment of this property is $400,000, which is $16,260 per acre. I've provided aerial view and a map of the subject property for reference. I will note that Charles Wood Road is a gravel road up to about halfway down the property and ends halfway. So there's access on Charles Wood Road to the top half of the property. Now I have 7 comparable properties here, all located in the Wilkes South neighborhood. They are a range of sizes. My first 5 comparables are quite a bit smaller, ranging from 4.02 to 5 acres. Comparable 6 is the closest in size to the subject property at 31.32 acres, and then comparable 7 is quite a bit larger at 178.09 acres. All of these properties are also unserviced. Comparable number 6 is actually located on what we call an unimproved street. So Charleston Road doesn't actually physically exist. It just exists on the map. And comparable 7 has a park and heavy traffic influence located on, or one piece of that property. It was a multiple level sale. The sale price per acre on these comparables range from $8,945 to $41,099. And now, because the second property on the docket is fairly close to this property, I'll go over that one as well. It has all the same comparables. So this is file 2379. This property is roll number 0100458100. It is also a piece of vacant agricultural land located directly south of this property. This one is smaller at 16.06 acres and has a 2021 assessment of $282,000, which is $17,559 per acre. And this is because it's located further south on Charles Wood Road. It is also considered a street and has no water.
Questions, Warren?
Yes. Have you physically visited the subject property?
I did not. I did a desktop review of the property using aerial photos.
I guess I've been dealing with this property for 16 months. How much frontage on, but do you know the definition of an improved road for starters? Or would you describe an improved road?
Sorry?
How would you describe an improved road?
If it's either paved or has gravel, provides access to the property.
Okay, so how much frontage does the subject north parcel, like I refer to one parcel as being the north one and the other one being the south one?
Yeah.
How much frontage would the north parcel have on an improved road?
I'm not sure the exact number. It is difficult.
Well, I can tell you because we've had it surveyed. 520 feet. That 520 feet, you know, how far that ends?
Where it ends in terms of the subject, like the full
Road,
length.
yeah, what's on the road.
Well, I know the improved Charleswood Road extends into the north parcel some ways, approximately half of it.
Okay. You familiar with the Wilkes? What do they call it? With the Wilkes South Secondary Plan bylaw?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, I refer you to page 18. Well, I'll just, maybe what I
18?
should.
Well, we'll do that when you get to your
I should probably
presentation.
just go into my,
Let's get you into your presentation on that stuff then, because
yeah, 'cause I think that'd be,
you're moving a little ahead on us here. Any other questions of the assessor before you?
well, I think, would you say that the subject property, well, when you said the subject property must be cultivated, did you actually figure that out yourself, or is it just a guesstimate?
I never mentioned whether it was cultivated or not.
Would you hazard a guess as to how much of the subject north parcel would be cultivated?
I'm not sure. We just assess it as vacant agricultural zone land, so I didn't look into whether or not, or how much of it is.
So why would you think that agricultural land be worth $17,000 an acre there?
I mean,
More than half the property is bush.
we do have that sale on Charleston Road, and I should mention, if you notice comparable 6, the sale price and Thorn Valley are different. It was a developer purchased 3/4 interest in the property, so it was the Thorn value we used for our analysis. So that property is on Charleston Street, which doesn't physically exist, and that sold for almost $13,000.
Paper street. There's no access off of Wilkes Charleston Road at all.
Yeah. And it sold for almost $13,000 an acre in January of 2018.
Do you know who bought it? Was it Qualico or?
I believe it was a developer. I don't know for sure.
You have the name?
I'm not sure. Not 100%.
You're not sure of what, who bought it, or
Yes.
you say you're not sure who bought it?
That's what she said, yeah. She doesn't know who bought it. So let's move on from there now, Warren.
Okay. In your opinion, what's the highest and best use of this property?
We're currently assessing it according to its zoning, which is vacant agricultural land.
And what do you need for a residential lot on the agricultural zoning?
We're not assessing it as a residential lot. So I don't know
My
if that's
question was,
relevant.
what do you need to build a house under agricultural zoning?
I'm not sure, but we aren't discussing a residential property.
How can you assess property not knowing what its use can be based on?
She's looking at it as agricultural, Warren. That's what she said. She's looking at it and she's priced it according to what they have for agricultural property. They didn't use it as residential. She's already answered that question 4 times.
Okay.
If you have any further questions, go ahead.
Have you ever seen this, this document? You ever seen this document called the Wilkes South Secondary Plan Bylaw? Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. I know
And what's the zoning of all the properties in the area south of Wilkes?
south of Wilkes, just from my recollection, many of them are agricultural.
Agricultural. The whole area is agricultural. And what are the uses on some of those streets?
I'm sure you're going to tell us all that. You don't have to ask her questions that you already know the answer to, right?
Yeah, that's probably better.
We've all dealt with these properties before, Warren, so let's move on to your presentation
Okay.
after we're done with our questions. Kent, do you have any questions of the assessor?
I didn't.
No? Do you have any questions of the assessor? Neither do I. Warren, let's get on with your presentation.
Okay.
You want to start right at that page 18, I think you want to
Yeah,
bring it
I'll read-
forward.
Maybe if you can have a look at the addenda, page 8. This is a letter that we had from the planner. I had a teleconference with the planner. What's today? Thursday. I had a telephone conference with the planner on Tuesday and one last week. The planner is saying that the second line in the last big paragraph says this is not likely to occur within the next 15 to 20 years. So in other words, the city is saying this land won't be developed for 15 to 20 years.
Which,
Wait till
The
he
end of
finishes,
page 8.
then ask your questions, okay?
On the last big paragraph,
Make a note.
second and third lines from the bottom there
Page 8,
of the addenda, yes. It's a letter from the city of
on the
Winnipeg.
addendum.
Have you got it?
sorry, that's what people,
Pardon me?
we're trying to locate.
Now I've got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a letter from the city of Winnipeg Planning Department.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, and in the second line there, he says this property shouldn't be developed, probably according to them, for the next 15 or 20 years. My parties have owned this property since 1974, so that means they're going to have to sit on this for a total of 60 years. Across the street from the north 520 feet of the north parcel are a number of homes. These homes are on the east side of the street, and the city is saying that we can't build on the west side, even though there's an improved road in front. The north 520 feet at that juncture by Charles Road is a barricade. That barricade has been there, I estimate, between 25 and 30 years based on previous appraisal experience. And then from the barricade south, the road is not an improved road. It's just a country road. It's not open. So there's no frontage for most of the subject property. According to the aerial photographs, it's my estimation, if you go to page 3 of my report in the narrative part. In the north parcel, looking at the aerial photographs and scaling off the bush and the cultivated portion, there's about 8.07 acres in the north parcel that's cultivated and 7.52 in the south parcel that's cultivated. The owner gets $300 a year from the farmer. Right now, there's a bean crop on there. A lot of the trees on that property are a mixture of oak, poplar, things of that nature. There's approximately about 38 houses on Charles Road, and even the most recent building permit for a house on Charles Road has been approved by way of a variance. There's been no rezoning of any properties on Charles Road. All the dwellings have been approved by way of a variance. That way, there's no rezoning. This Charleswood plan, according to the diagrams and etc. in here, that plan says that property is agricultural. It lists that if you want to develop, you've got to have 2.5 acres in area or more and 130 feet of frontage. But we don't fall under that particular bylaw according to the planner. The assessment on the subject property increased substantially from the previous assessment, which is why my client decided to appeal the assessment. Like the rental payment that he gets on here is $25 an acre. Basically, it keeps the weeds under control. Because if we didn't do that, they probably have complaints from the neighbors about weed problems. Over on page 7, I have the same comparables as the assessment department, because when I was in talking to them, they gave me these comparables and I researched them further. Charleston Road is a paper street, as we call it. It doesn't exist. There's no approach off of Wilkes Avenue at all. One of the purchasers, Tom Butterworth, has had previous dealings with assembling land for Qualico. He has a quarter interest in this property. This property sold for $12,992 an acre. The dimensions of the site are there. It's a river lot. It's 31.32 acres. And Qualico bought a 3/4 interest in this, and that's the price per acre is based on the 3/4 interest. Comparable number 2 is on McConnell Road. McConnell Road is not an all-weather road, it's just dirt. Both sides of the road are cultivated. You can drive down there if the road isn't wet. There's large homes to the east on another street. There's no services, no hydro, no sewer, no water, and this is dirt and gravel. That's applicable for all the properties fronting on McConnell. They would be comparable 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Based on these sales, which have taken place over a number of years, the market for this area has remained stable, or prices has declined slightly, which is another reason for I would dispute that the increase in subject property is not warranted by market information. These properties are all around 5 acres. They don't compare to a site that's as large as the subject that's being. It's not the same kind of property. It's looked at differently. It's cheaper. More people can afford to buy that than would they make to buy the subject property. But the McConnell sales go up to number 8. Number 9 is on Community Road. Community Road, it's not an all-weather road. Again, there's no sewer, no water. It's cultivated. There's no homes, no hydro. This site is small at 4.02 acres. There's been a lot of transactions between DaCosta. That one is at 31,000 an acre, and there was a sale on October 15, another sale March 18, indicating no increase, but with the same last name. It's maybe not an arm's length transaction. I go over to page 10. This is another sale involving some of DaCosta. This one is 31,000, same years, October 15, March 18. It's a very small site, 4.24 acres. The one that's of interest to me is number 11. This property here is at the rear of the subject property. It's cultivated and runs from Wilkes Avenue to the 4 Mile Road. It's sold for $89.45 an acre. The whole property is cultivated. The crop's been taken off. Last time I was out there a few weeks ago. Access is off of Wilkes. These people they're not developers to my knowledge, but the price in June 15 was $89.45 an acre for the whole 3 parcels. So number 11 is in River Lot 65, which I said is not at the rear of the subject property. It goes again from Wilkes, which is the 2 Mile Road, down to the 4 Mile Road. And then comparable number 11A. This property, I didn't realize it doesn't show up on the mapping, but there is a agricultural road or non-improved road along the entire west boundary of this property, and it starts off at Wilkes, where Wilkes meets up with the roads off of the perimeter highway. But I've drove down that whole road from Wilkes right down to the 4 Mile Road. Again, that crop was all taken off, and you can see where the farmer's been able to get access into his field from this service road. I wasn't aware until I went out there that there was a service road on the west side of this, on the west side of this property. This particular parcel is 7703 acres. It's in River Lot 70. There's some low land in the southwest corner, and there's a drainage ditch up the 4 Mile Road. The city of Winnipeg was in there replacing the culvert. Comparable 11B, I believe this is now a cell tower site. When I was out there, the cell tower was under construction a few weeks ago. And based on the city's mapping of where the site is, I believe that it's a cell tower. It's a very small site. It's in between the CNR and Wilkes Avenue. It's not really, it's just a small piece of land. It's not farmland. But having a cell tower on there will now bring them some money. Comparable number 12. This is a property that I sold in the arm of St. Francois Xavier. I sold it to the adjoining farmer. By acquiring this piece of property, the farmer gained access to an all-weather asphalt paved provincial road. The price he paid, that he agreed upon, was $43.74 an acre. The price, I established the price by looking at market sales in that area, and this is what he paid to acquire a full cultivated site, which he was previously renting, and he only paid $43.74 an acre for it, and it's all cultivated. And as I said, he owns the adjoining rear land. And in the end, he bought additional land from us for a residential subdivision. But this price per acre for cultivated land at $43.74 compares to what the city wants to put on the subject property of $17,000. I mean, it just, for agricultural land, it just doesn't make sense to have the price that high if it's going to be sitting for another 20 years. And there's limited amount of agricultural land on the two parcels. And when you're dealing with some oak trees that are a foot in diameter, you're going to have quite a time clearing that land. I'm not sure what it costs to clear land these days. I used to know, but I don't know anymore. But this is a small parcel. It's only 28.42 acres. And that sold in August 18. I'd been talking to the farmer sometime before the sale took place. As I said, we've been in discussions with the planning department to see what we can do to develop this property, but they're pretty adamant on the fact that you can't do anything with it, even though there's houses in front. I think that the best comparable here is the one that's at the back of the property that's used for agricultural purposes, but then again, it's all cultivated. Our property has got very little cultivation. So I'm saying that the south parcel is worth $9,500 an acre, and the north parcel, I broke it up into two parts, saying that the north 520 feet is worth $11,000 an acre, and the balance of the north parcel, I put it at $9,500 for a total of $252,735 for the north parcel and $152,600 for the south parcel for a total of $253,000. And the assessment on this property today is $400,000, an increase of 23.5% between the two reference dates. And for the south parcel, the increase was 58.5%. I don't understand why the property that has no frontage on an approved road increased more than the north parcel. That seems to be disjointed to me. But that one went up to $17,559 an acre, which is very expensive for agricultural land when you only get one crop a year. I think those increases they're not evident from the sales. As I said, the sales are stagnant or going up very little on an acreage basis. But we're talking farmland here, and especially on the south parcel. My client has owned it for 46 years. So going into the addenda, on page 1 of the addenda is photographs that I took. They're self-explanatory. On page 2, that's the north limit of the north parcel, the access point. The bottom on page 2 is the house across the street. And there's another vacant lot next to it, and then another house, and then the third house is halfway between our property and the property to the north. On page 3, this is the barrier. This is where the gravel road stops and the dirt road starts. At the bottom of page 3 is a photograph shooting west from the road. Page 4 is a photograph of the road south of the barricade. 5 is the Charles Road. It's from the assessment department. 6 is the property taxes based on that assessment. 7 is this is the north parcel. That's what it was assessed at, 324, and it went up to 400. And it says there's agricultural, no sewer, no water. There's no sewer or water on the entire Charles Road Street from Wilkes Avenue South, Page 8 is the letter that we got recently from Mr. Goldstone at the City Planning, August 2020. We've had considerable amount of correspondence with him. And we've had 2 conference calls in the last 2 weeks regarding this property with him. They haven't been very pleasant phone calls. Page 9, this is from the Wilkes Avenue, Wilkes South Secondary Plan Bylaw. The subject property is with the 2 X's. And you can see the CNR line, which crosses Trouser Road close to the 4 Mile Road. This whole area is zoned A, which surprises me, but they have been able to develop it by the city allowing subdivision by variance. Some of these streets like Charleston are not even, they don't exist. The other ones are just dirt roads and they're pretty rutted. You've got to be careful going down. Page 10 is another map from the Wilkes South Boundary Plan. Page 11 is another map from the Wilkes South Secondary Plan showing land uses. I believe that Qualico is assembling land in this area, but I'm not sure. I believe it's further to the east of the subject property. Page 12 is a aerial photograph that the planner gave us from the city. This is from September 19. This is over a year now that we've been dealing with the city on this, and you can see the subject's north parcel, south parcel, and all the houses along Charles Road. Page 13, this is the north limit of the north half, or no, this is the north limit of the south half of 13, which is the north boundary of the subject property. And you can see the houses that are across the street. The middle lot there, the vacant lot, is owned by a guy in Texas. And the barrier is shown, you can see the difference in the color of the road between the north side of the barrier and the south side. Page 14 is, you can see it again where the barrier is and the house across the street. 15 is dimensions of the lots. The lots are about 1,000 feet deep. Page 16 is the aerial photographs that show the bush and the cultivated area. 17 is map showing the comparables. And all the lot sizes have been taken off of these drawings. They're all highlighted. Some of these lots are quite deep in relation to the frontage. Going up to page, took all my stickies off here. You go to page 28 of the addenda. This shows you comparable number 11 in relation to the subject property. Comparable 11B, I wasn't sure where that was, but it would be on based on the legal description that's in between the CNR right away, north of Wilkes and the Wilkes Street right away. And based on the city's map that was presented today, I believe it's 11B is where they're currently constructing a cell phone tower site. But this is out of the south, or the Wilkes South Secondary Plan bylaw, which has been passed by council. And then 29 is an assessment map of comparable 11. 30 is more information on comparable 11. 31 is a strip of land on the east side of the perimeter, on the east side of a service road. And then a 33 is a cell phone tower site, I believe. And that represents my submission. I really strongly would suggest that this property has been over-assessed based on the fact of where it is and what the city will not allow here, and the fact that they have told us, and they're very strongly saying that this is going to sit here for another 15 to 20 years. Well, my guy He's in his 80s. He's not going to be able to see anything on this property because I would take it to 65 years of ownership, which is that farmland. I don't understand why people would pay that amount of money, but the city's got this successful. I mean, an acre or a bushel of grain is worth the same in St. Francis Xavier as it is in Winnipeg. It's very excessive. There's not a lot of comparables in here in this area. I searched all these streets and it's just, there's not a lot of activity. But the activity does suggest that the market has not gone up. In some cases, it might have gone down between the last 3 or 4 years, which would question why the city sees an increase in this property. When you're doing this kind of property, you have to look at the zoning and the restrictions of the lot size and the services and how long it's going to be before it gets developed. I mean, you can make more money owning bank stock than you can holding onto this piece of property. I can prove it.
Candace, you got any questions for Warren?
Just one, I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Has your client ever thought of selling or attempted to sell, or just sold it out to this level?
He owns it.
We've been dealing with the city on this property since about July of last year. We probably end up going to take the city to court. According to our interpretation of the bylaw, we are included in this secondary plan. According to the words in the bylaw, according to the city, we are not. And the city is taking words that aren't in this bylaw and throwing them at us. And as far as I'm concerned, they're not being truthful and they're lying to us. So we're probably going to end up in court.
Let's choose our words carefully. We'll choose our words carefully.
Did we?
Choose our words carefully.
Well,
lie is a pretty strong word.
Yeah, I mean, even what Tanis was saying, it's in the planner said this is in the northerly half of the property. Well, I did a calculation. The northerly half of the property is south of our property completely. I mean, he's mixing words. He's not sticking to the bylaw. You have to stick to the bylaw because that's where the facts are.
I don't think that's where her question was, but do you have another question, Candace?
No, I think that's.
Ken, do you have any questions?
No, Mr. Chair.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
I've got one. When did you say you bought this? I think I heard you mention
74.
74 you bought it. Okay. And you've been
He's now in his
dealing
80s.
with-
The owner's now in his 80s. And that's a long time to hold something.
Okay, leave it with us, Warren,
Okay.
and you'll be getting our decision. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, it's been a very interesting case.
I'm just going to step out for a minute while we're cleaning the room. You right there? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be moving on to 196 Willow Creek. It's Mr. Weiss. Let's get this shut down. Oh, no.
Please state your full name,
Remigius Thomas Wise.
and you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yep.
You got a number of briefs or just one?
Just one.
Number 6, correct? Yeah. Okay, on to the file for you, Candace, please.
The subject property is roll number 03092996460. The street address is 196 Willow Creek Road. This is a vacant residential lot located in the Bridgewater Trails neighborhood. The assessed lot size is 7,925 square feet, and it has a retention pond influence. The 2021 assessment for this property is $192,000, which is $24.22 per square foot. The property was purchased post-reference in March of 2020, so I could not review that sale price during my review of the assessment of the property. I have 4 comparable properties here that are all on Willow Creek Road located in Bridgewater Trails. All also have R1M zoning. The subject property is a unique shape. If you refer to the map, it's a reverse pie lot with a more narrow backyard than front yard. And comparables 1 and 2 are a similar size to the subject property. Comparable 3 is a regular pie lot with a larger backyard, and comparable 4 is a rectangular shaped lot. The areas on these lots ranges from 6,444 square feet to 7,458 square feet. All have retention pond influences. The sale prices for these lots range from $179,900 to $215,000. The time adjusted sale prices range from $183,100 to $215,000, which means the time adjusted price per square foot range from $26.24 to $33.36. So I believe based on these comparable properties that the 2021 assessment of $192,000 is supported by evidence for the market value as of April 1st, 2018.
Any questions of the assessor?
No, I have a few comments whenever I'm allowed to.
I'll be right back at you. Kent,
Okay.
any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Gisela?
Questions?
And I've got no questions at this time. On to your presentation, sir.
Yes, we looked around for vacant lots to build a smaller bungalow, and we checked out a lot of lots in many of the areas. We were looking for a walkout lot. This was brought to our attention, this lot, by Merrick Homes. The lot was owned by, of course, Manitoba Housing and Renewal Corporation, and it was priced at $165,000. And it was priced at $165,000 for a number of reasons. When the assessor mentions irregular shape, it's completely irregular shape, front and back. It has the smallest backyard of any lot on Willow Creek Road. It's only 21 feet across the back. Her comparison on number 1 isn't accurate because it's a much bigger backyard and it has a straight front. Ours has an angled front yard, which allows for, it's really hard to develop the yard in the front. And most people are looking for a large backyard. We're retired. We said we could use this lot because it had a small, very small backyard. We think it's completely unfair to price us at $192 when it was listed at $165, and that's what we paid for, $165. When I got the taxes this year, I was shocked that a lot that I just bought, brand new lot from Manitoba Housing, for $165 was priced at $192. And I understand it came out after the assessment. But I believe the assessment should more closely reflect the price of the lot and should reflect that it's completely irregular shaped front and back. The price per square foot doesn't work because there's not very much usable space in this lot because it has an angled front and a very narrow backyard. So that's why I believe that the assessment should more closely reflect. And even the lot that she refers to at 179 has a large backyard, which is comparable number 3, 179. Ours has half that size backyard, which is what people want for walkout bungalows on retention ponds. They don't want small, narrow lots. And in talking to Merrick, they told us that this lot would be very hard to sell, and it had been sitting there for a while. And it would be hard to sell at a higher price. And that's why I believe the assessment should be rolled back. Thank you.
Questions, Candace?
No other questions.
Kent, questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
No questions, thank you.
What's the frontage on this lot?
Well, it's our house is going to be sitting. I think I sent one of the documents. I sent one of the documents to you, which shows the outline of where our house is going to be. Looks like it's hard to tell because it's on a curve.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know because you have to add them 3 together. You have to add 3 different numbers together here. Looks like roughly 110, 35, 28, and 52. So something like that.
Did they add your frontage and your back together and then divide it for charging you for frontage, or are they charging you for the full frontage?
That I don't know, sir.
You didn't get it on the tax bill? You should have.
Okay. Oh, on the tax bill, it says.
What's the say for frontage levy? It'll tell you the.
Doesn't say anything on this assessment. I have my. Where's the tax bill? Maybe, does it say it on the tax bill?
Yep.
I don't know where it says that. I have the tax bill in front of me. I don't know where it says that.
The frontage levy.
Just says opening balance $2,480 taxes that I paid. I'm sorry, I'm not all that familiar with this type of process, and I'm not sure where that would be.
Does it not show up in the tax bill, the levy for the frontage? Please? Now, when have you started building the house already?
Yeah, we've just started, yeah.
Okay, and I'm looking at this plan that you've got here.
Mm-hmm.
So the driveway is off to the right.
Yeah, the house had to be designed with some angles to make it fit on the lot.
Yes.
So, yeah, like it's a custom 1,600 square foot bungalow, and I had the Perry Merrick design. We bought the lot, and we had him design a house to fit this kind of a lot because he says there wouldn't be a lot of houses that would fit this kind of lot. So we had to angle off some of the walls.
Yeah, see that.
And we didn't want it facing so much north because it's also northeast facing, which isn't that desirable either. It's less desirable, of course, than west facing or southwest facing for the sun reasons. But, we're retired and up early, so it didn't matter to us about the sun. But, we took this lot because it was a distressed price for a walkout lot. Most walkout lots you had to pay over $200,000 for. And the reason is that
Even with the size of this lot, you're left with a 23-foot driveway. It's minimal, isn't it, for this size? Is that correct? 23 feet to the front? That would be the minimum. The minimum. Have you got a short driveway?
No. I've been there where the house is framed. The house is framed. It's as far as it's gone. Driveway seems normal compared to any other driveway. It's probably the same distance as the house we own now.
Okay.
There's no sidewalk in front of us, so it'll go right to the street.
Yes,
Sidewalk's on the other side of the street.
Yeah, so you got the city property in front of you as well in the front.
Right.
3-car garage. Did they say if that was the price they were asking back in 2018?
Yes, it hasn't changed. That's the price of the lot. We looked before. We've been looking for a few years to build. I don't believe it's changed. We looked at the lot prices from other developers as well.
Yeah.
The front yard is going to be tough to develop because there's such a large open space to the right of the house. That's actually another negative.
You put it in here? Just 1 second. That's not showing up yet. Oh yeah, street renewal frontage levy, 365. They're not showing the length, the width. Right? Do you show what the width is on the frontage, or the width of the?
I don't know.
His frontage levy is 365. $9. What's our levy? $9 a square foot? Or $9 a foot?
To me, the issue was simply a matter of I buy the lot through Manitoba Housing and Rental Corporation for a certain price, and I'm assessed at significantly higher number. To me, it seems pretty straightforward, regardless of frontage or anything else. And the reason it's priced at that is because of the shape.
Candace, anything in summation?
I think I pretty much covered it. I mean, I'm limited to looking at sales that occurred before April 1st of 2018. So this is the data that we had at that time, and to recognize that it is a unique lot. So the reason for our assessment was these comparables that I presented were what had sold before that reference date of April 1st, 2018.
Thank you. I understand that.
Anything summation?
No, sir. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for making the presentation. Have
Thank
a
you.
good day.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Now we're going to take a few minutes. Just two left, right? Candace, we're dealing with no address.
Just say Templeton.
That's right. You're on.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, good thing I got her here, straighten me out.
Can you affirm the events about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, Candace, now you can.
Okay. The subject property is roll number 0500-494-0000. This is a vacant piece of land with RR5 zoning located on Templeton Avenue in Amber Trails. The assessed lot size is 87,045 square feet. It's located on a bus route with light traffic influence. The 2021 assessment for this property is $269,000, which is $3.09 per square foot. Comparable sales of this type of property are quite limited in this area. I'd say the best comparable I have is comparable number 1, which is located on Templeton on the other side of Pipeline Road, so we consider it Leland North. It does have R1 zoning. The lot size for this comparable is 73,853 square feet. At the time of the sale in 2017, it was unserviced, and this portion of Templeton was serviced later in 2018. This property sold for $260,000 in 2017, which gives a time-adjusted sale price of $264,400, which is $3.58 per square foot. My other 3 comparables are much smaller than the subject property. The area of these ranges from 5,800 square feet to 7,675 square feet. The sale price for these smaller properties range from $117,900 to $135,000, which is a time-adjusted price range from $124,400 to $138,500, and a time-adjusted price per square foot of $18.05 to $21.48. So I feel that based mainly on comparable number 1, that the subject assessment of $269,000 or $3.09 per square foot is supported by market evidence.
Any questions, Nardash, of the?
Just please, I purchased the property about 10 years ago. There's this amount of what I paid it, and like your comparison with other property which is already developed property in the area, and they still have a designation zoning. I think this recently something changed on it, but I consider this is still agricultural land. And so what have you comparison? So all the properties developed, which is selling all the lots and everything. So you have one property is, Lila, that is zoned differently.
Yeah.
So how you can comparison with agriculture land to developable land? So we have 2 different things.
RR5 zoning, so it's not agricultural, but yeah, I do recognize that the other Templeton property further down is located R1.
Yeah, but it's R1 and zoning is different, so yeah. We are talking about 2 different things. Well, when designation shows, of course, you accepted it. Okay. But,
this is a time for questioning, not for putting your views. If you got some questions for her on her presentation.
Well, what I'm suggesting, you know, like the value, you know, like to from property tax from 2,600 to, you know, raise quite a bit, and that I think that is ridiculous. So I will want to appeal it as a comparison. You know, what we have it in there.
Is that a question coming at me now, or?
No.
Okay, wait till we see if there's some questions from us. Kent, any questions to the assessor?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Isella?
No questions.
And I've got none. Now on with your presentation.
Okay. That's what I'll explain to my case, you know, but you can do something, that's great.
Do you have any questions of the appellant? Candace?
Do you have any sales in the area that I haven't considered? Because we do have to base our assessments on market evidence. So do you know of any sales similar to your property in the area?
I don't see anything sold, you know, but you know, if sold, you know, it's zoned differently. Okay, so like what I'm suggesting, you know, this is still, you know, the zoning has been designation not changed. So I don't know what you're recommending to it.
And what do you intend to do with this property?
I'm just holding it. Yeah, I don't know how long. And
thank you.
Kent, question?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Isella?
No questions.
When you bought the land, was it zoned R5 already?
yes, no, not I bought ag.
You
I
bought what?
agriculture.
You bought it as agriculture at 150?
50.
Do you not think that adding the R5 to it increased the value?
I don't know, like it's great, but you know, like I'm not using the land, you know, it's just sitting there.
Still sitting as an R5 though, is it not?
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
I'll consider some, but you know, like I don't know how much.
Well, you've bought other lands. What have your other lands done for you? The ones that you sold in the last while? Have you made some good profits on some that you bought 10 years ago?
But I don't have anything in mind. I'm going to sell it, you know. But the attention is holding a property.
But if it was to sell, it'd be selling for what? 300,000?
I probably, you know, let's see
Yeah.
the value.
So that would be the market value today.
Yeah.
And she's only assessing it at 269.
What's made you, you know, make a raising a tax? You know, I don't understand. You know.
You paid 150,000 for the land.
Yeah.
Raw agricultural.
Right.
You then zoned it R5.
I didn't own it. You owned it.
You had to apply for it.
And I haven't applied yet, but I'm going to. Then do whatever you like to do. Or come to the same table.
Okay, I've got no further questions. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a good day.
You today.
We'll do a wife and Catherine can come. Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a great day. Just swap out the chairs.
See you.
Oh, I guess I should shut that down.
Please state your full name.
Catherine Voss.
And you affirm to to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Oh, thanks. Okay.
No, we're going to start over here.
Okay.
Catherine, we're going to have the assessor go first.
Okay.
Then you'll ask her questions.
Okay.
And then you'll make your presentation after we've asked our questions.
Yes,
okay?
I recall. I read that now. Okay.
That's what we did last time. That's what we'll do this time. And when you're ready, Candace.
Okay, can I ask permission to discuss the next 4 properties. They're very similar. So
Are you okay with that, Catherine, if we do all of them at once? Sure, let's do it.
So the first subject property is roll number 0100276980. This is 12 Jaymore Drive. This property is 9,444 square feet located on an external corner. It's a vacant residential lot located in the Ridgedale neighborhood with R1L zoning. The 2021 assessment for this property is $248,000, which is $26.26 per square foot. The second property is roll number 0100276960. This is 16 Jaymore Drive. This property is also vacant residential, 9,624 square feet, and the 2021 assessment is $253,000 or $26.29 per square foot. The third property is roll number 0100276930, 20 Jaymore Drive. This lot is 9,804 square feet. The 2021 assessment is $254,000 or $25.91 per square foot. And the fourth property is roll number 0100276910, 24 Jaymore Drive. This one is 9,995 square feet, and the 2021 assessment is $255,000 or $25.51 per square foot. Now I have 4 comparable properties for these subjects. It is difficult to find comparable sales in this area. Sales of residential properties are fairly limited. So my first property is, it was a 2014 sale on Oakdale Drive in Ridgedale. The second comparable is also located in Ridgedale, but it's located on Roblin Boulevard. So it's adjacent to the Assiniboine River and adjacent to the heavy traffic and bus route on Roblin. The third property is located in the South Boyne neighborhood, and the fourth property is located in the Bealoo neighborhood. The area of these comparable lots ranges from 9,200 square feet to 12,712 square feet. The sale price on these properties ranges from $217,000 to $357,500. This gives us a time-adjusted sale price range from $224,600 to $398,500, and a time-adjusted price per square foot of $21.70 to $31.35. So I feel that based on these comparables that were available, the 2021 assessment for the 4 subject properties is supported by market evidence.
Any questions, Catherine, of your assessor?
I do have a question about your comparative analysis, property 1. I had also tried to find empty lots, and it's obviously very hard. But I looked at number 1, I looked at it online, and I get totally different numbers. So I was able to run downstairs because I seemed to have time before my 1 o'clock appointment. And I got somebody to go to the assessment and taxation site and print it off, which was added to my package. If you'll see, that actually indicates that 15 Oakdale Drive at 12,712 feet is a vacant lot, but its assessment is $263,000, which brings it to a value of $20.69 per square foot.
We use the sale prices.
That's the most recent information on the website, which is where all these other ones come from, Winnipeg Assessment and Taxation. So I think something's wrong there.
Or an assessment.
Sorry?
That was the sale price or the assessment?
Well, these are all based on their you've got the assessment price in here and then an adjusted price, right?
Those are sale prices.
They're sales, not assessments.
So
the assessments could be wrong. Somebody might not have appealed them, or they might have appealed them and they haven't changed yet, or we might be dealing with them.
Okay, but then, time. So these ones also show they've got houses on them, but that's now, I guess, is the idea.
Yeah.
I guess I can't, I don't have access to this information about how much it's sold for. I only have access to what the assessment and taxation website gives me access to. I mean, depending on what the situation is, somebody could pay a heck of a lot of money just because it's adjacent to their property or who knows what.
And I will actually mention after in my presentation, 15 Oakdale did actually have an old house on the lot at the time of sale, and it was demolished shortly after. So we consider it in that case, basically. I mean, it's not a perfect vacant land sale, but they obviously bought it for the land.
Okay. Well, the most recent thing online, when I looked at your comparison number 2, 3, and 4, it doesn't matter. There's nothing I can do. If you're saying that that's the sale price, I don't have any access to what the sale price was. That's not available to me. But on the website, in terms of its assessed value, which is what we're going for, what we're using for all of these other properties, my 12, 16, 20, and 24 Jmore as the assessment roll value. And the assessment roll value on that property, a slightly, well, considerably larger, 3,000 square foot larger property, is only slightly more than what the assessment value is on the property that I have that I'm contesting. It's not the 31. It would come to 20.69. So there you go. All right. No other questions.
Gisela?
No questions, thank you.
Kent?
Just to confirm, what would be the closest comparison? Is comparison the closest?
Yeah, that's difficult just because of the limited sales. I would likely say number 1, just because it is located in that same Ridgedale neighborhood. But obviously it's not perfect. It's quite a bit larger than the subject property, and it is an older sale. So yeah, it is difficult. I was basically reviewing all 4 of these overall just because there was no one comparable that was really that great. But yeah, I would say other than the slightly larger size and the older sale, that comparable one.
I've just got one more note I got to make here before I start. What's the lot size on the first one?
Jmore?
Yeah.
9,444.
It's on 12, right?
12, yeah.
What is it, 9,000?
444. So 3,000 square feet, smaller.
Yeah. No, 300 square feet. I mean,
No,
from
3,000.
From your highest one on your grouping, your highest one is 9,900, 9,800, 9,600, and 9,414, right?
So that's 3,000 square feet, not 300.
3,000 would make it.
3,000 square feet smaller than the other one.
Oh, 300 square feet. Where you get 9,995 to 9,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're comparing. I thought you wanted to know the size of this comparator.
No, I'm
3,000
comparing your lots right now.
Okay.
I have a question for her.
I apologize.
For Candace. So Candace.
Okay.
So when you did this, Candace, you have all different dollar values for the square footage?
Slightly different.
Anything from 26.26 to what? 26.29, 25.91.
So less than $1.
25.51. They're all within that few cents, I guess. But the corner lot one is the first one. The other ones didn't come up with anything on them. Is it the highest?
Per square foot?
Yeah.
No, 16 is.
By just a few cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
16.
So you didn't take anything off for being a corner lot?
Well, that one is the smallest lot also by quite a bit, so it would be the highest price per square foot, but then subtract.
That's how you did it.
It comes up fairly close.
Okay. That's the only question mark I had for you there. Let's go on with your presentation, please, Catherine.
Okay, I'll try to keep it as short as I possibly can. The good news is all four go into one. So in 2019, we purchased actually the property that's behind it, which is 70 Ridgedale, and we purchased these four properties all as one parcel. A couple of things have come to my attention actually as I've looked at all of this, and so we may be able to revamp things. But so the gentleman who lived on the property decided to subdivide the property and was going to watch it be developed. His children actually came to him and said, "You don't own the property. And we don't want to see this. We don't want to see a bunch of buildings going on." But he had already subdivided it. And now I'm thinking, wait a minute, if he didn't own the property, he shouldn't have been able to subdivide it because it was left in the mother's will to the children many years, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But besides all that, we'll get back to this. So he subdivided it, and then unfortunately he passed away, and the children put it out to sale to a number of people who had expressed interest, including ourselves, and we forwarded a bid, sealed bid, and they accepted our offer, but they wanted to know what we were going to do with the property, and we said we're going to renovate the house. We have no intention of selling the other pieces. We want to keep it all, which we didn't know what they wanted to do, but we said we don't want it. We want all of them. And if you're going to subdivide it, we don't want any. We don't want 70 Ridgedale if we can't have the ones in front. And then they took our offer. We don't know what anybody else offered, but what we paid is slightly less than if you put the value of all of those properties together in terms of the taxation value. So then we got onto the property. We got the house looked at more closely. We had plans for a bungalow, found that it was a lot of asbestos in it. Ended up getting it remediated, which basically totaled the house. And then we decided, you know what, we better just start from scratch. So we applied to the city after getting finally got our demolition permit, and we've done new plans. So to sort of walk you through my little package, if you've got it there, that picture in front is looking at it down Jaymore, standing on Ridgedale. So that's a cross section of those properties. So that adjacent to the pipe would be number 12 Jaymore. So all of those proposed lots would go back into that area. Do you understand what I mean? Probably you're used to seeing these things so much, which is this plan here that I included, right? So you're looking at it from here. So those are the lots here. So this is the existing house, which we've now demolished. And I've included a site plan for you, which shows where our plan is actually, we've remediated the river and we've got all the geotech and so on. So the house was fine where it was, but we actually want to move it more central to the lot. So we're going to be moving it up quite a number of feet basis that site plan that we've got. So the garage, the new garage that's here, will actually come fairly close to the back of one of those lots. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So my point is those lots are not going to be worth, I guess, what they've been assessed at if they've got a garage coming to the back of one of them. But we don't want to sell them anyway. So I tried to find vacant property and what it has been assessed at. So that's what my next package of items is that I delivered to you folks. So it includes I used the assessment and the square footage of the Jaymore properties, the assessment and the square footage of Ridgedale property, which has been reassessed without a house. It's gone down about 400 grand without the house. And then I used also, the only other empty lot I could find was 0 Ridgedale. And so I took individually the price per square foot, and I can see that the larger the land parcel, the cheaper per square foot, which brings me to my first situation. I think I mentioned at the beginning, I contacted the city when we were trying to get a demolition permit, and it was taking forever, and I was paying taxes on a $1.4 million parcel. So I said, I want, the house is being remediated. I'd like to see that tax rate down. The longer we keep that property, we can't sell our other house. I'm paying taxes on both properties. And so they said, yep, no problem. But I had asked if I could have them rolled into one, the J. Moore properties, into the Ridgedale. And he said, you're better off just doing a reduction in the taxes of this property and leaving those as they are. But having done my research for this, I don't think that's the case. I think I'd have been better if I could roll those all into one property again, because the bigger the lot with one house, the lower the rate. And I see that so Ridgedale's rate is, 70 Ridgedale's rate is roughly $13.20 per square foot. And 0 Ridgedale's rate, which is an empty lot, is $5.28 per square foot. And I'm paying between $25 and $26 a square foot. So then I looked at houses that had sold in the area and other houses that are on lots that are approximately the same size as the J. Moore houses. So I got 66 J. Moore sold fairly recently, and 69 Ridgedale. So to try to bring apples to apples, and 195, and I've got pictures of all of those homes. So to try to get apples to apples, I calculated the price per square foot of those homes basis their tax roll. I looked at the size of the homes, and what did I do? I looked at the size of the homes. I took the average of the size of the homes, which turned out to be 2,088 square feet. I took a number out of a hat for building a home. I said, if it's $300 a square foot, that would give me a new home build for just over $600,000. Doesn't really matter what building I'm putting on it, because I just want it for comparative purposes to apply to each of those properties. So that then if J. Moore had a new build home on it of roughly the same square footage as all of these other houses, well, the average square footage, that would bring that property up to a value of $874,000 and a price per square foot of $92.59. And that's that chart, that page, if you've got that in front of you here.
Which page is that?
Well, I don't know how they're numbered for you. I sent you each a package, but
I think I'm on the right page.
It's
got 12 J. Moore.
I didn't know how to bring it up on the page, so it's partway down on the. If you see, if you build on those properties, and $300 is not an outrageous. If I brought it down to $200, it obviously it would be less, but I'm not sure in that area that, that you wouldn't pay $300 a square foot for a home. All of those assessments on those 4 properties for J. Moore properties of mine would run in the high 80s to low 90s per square foot. The same house on the Ridgedale property would be $20.84 per square foot. The same house on the 0 Ridgedale property would be $8.21 per square foot. Any questions so far?
Not yet.
Okay, so then I thought, well, so I gave you a package of all the information on those ones, and then the ones that have sold recently that are developed in the immediate vicinity with houses. Then I looked further afield, and I found they're still in the Ridgedale area. Number 4 Oakdale is a similar sized property with a newer build. It's a 1991 build. And it's got more land to it, but it's got a similar orientation to the river. None of these lots will view the river because of 70 Ridgedale behind them, even though they look like they're river adjacent lots. And certainly when we put our home on it, they won't see. I mean, now because it's empty, you might be able to. But Oakdale has a similar appearance of a view of the river, and its price per square foot with a home on it is $45.15 per square foot. Then Bishop's Lane is a much larger property. Again, it has a relatively, it's an 86 home, not as new. And it's at $9.63 per square foot. So my point is there's something awfully wrong with this, either with the calculation or with if I want to keep those lots empty, I'm not asking you for any kind of services on those lots. The taxation, I think, is unreasonable. And I don't know how that's cheaper for me to keep it like that. If you can help me and just jump right to putting it all as one package and not have it subdivided, I would thank you, because I have no intention of building. And I think the taxation rate is just astronomical. If I look at the cumulative tax value of those 4 properties, it comes to over $1 million. It's $1 million, 10,000. Anyway, I guess that's all. It just comes down astronomically if it's part of one parcel.
Questions, Candace?
No, I have no questions at this
Kent?
point.
Okay, so you purchased and you live at Ridgedale.
Pardon me?
That's right, you purchased it, you own the house on Ridgedale.
We bought all of it, yes, as one purchase price.
Okay, with these 4
Yeah,
additions.
all is one purchase price. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Zella?
I'm wondering if you're not planning on developing any of these properties, why you haven't rolled them into one property?
Because I asked the city, I was concerned about the taxes. Absolutely, I asked that very same question, and they said, no, what you need to do is just look to have the taxes reduced on those properties. He told me you're actually better off. He said that he said the price basically is the same. What you would be better off doing is getting the city to reduce the taxes on that one that you're going to demolish, and then just pay individually. They said because it's apples to apples, you'll be paying the same amount. That wasn't true, not by a long shot. And I'll sign anything to say I'm not developing those properties. I'm under oath anyway. So
unfortunately, we're not part of the city. We're arm's length from the city, this board, so we can't help you with that particular component of it. But
I'm not really surprised. But my gosh, everything just takes. The demolition took an unbelievable amount of time. And I eventually had to go around the corner and get a violation put in place. Because I said, I'll put a violation in place and then that should expedite your demolition. So
I think that's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You paid 1.4 for the whole thing, correct?
No. The assessment value was 1.4 for the house. What we did was we put the assessment values all together of the house. And then we said, we will pay, it was just under the assessment value of all of those together. But we said we are not going to subdivide. Our intention is to keep that property whole.
So you paid basically the value of those properties at about another $1 million.
Pardon me?
And it's another $1 million worth of property there.
We paid just over $2 million for those 4 and Ridgedale.
4 and Ridgedale.
The 4 on Jaymore and Ridgedale as one purchase. Yeah. And our hope had been to be in it by Christmas of 2021, and getting the permits have been horrible. And that's where I was cross enough that I just said, you know what, I got to do something about my tax rate, at least, because I'm paying on a large property in Tuxedo as it is. But we're very fortunate, I'm not complaining, but I want to build and sell my other home.
Did they adjust the value on your property?
They did. They brought it from 1.4, I think it was 1.411 down to 1,084,000. It had
1 point what?
1,084,000 on Ridgedale.
And what was it before?
1,411,000.
Okay, so it's the value of the house.
Yeah, by 327,000. It's a conundrum.
Sort of a catch-22.
In terms of?
Even if you were to flip those back into one property, they'd still be charging you by the square footage for your property.
Yeah, but the square footage, the price for a larger property goes down astronomically. I mean, my Ridgedale property is 82,000 square feet, and I'm only charged at 20.84 per square foot.
You also save on your frontage, because you're paying frontage on both right now, on Ridgedale.
I don't know how they figure it, but I know I'm paying a lot in taxes. I also included in this paperwork how much we're paying. We're paying over $16,000 on Ridgedale, and we're paying $12,700 on the 4 Jaymore properties. And the city told me in June of 2019 that I was better off keeping it the way it is. And that's just wrong. I'm certain of it. Well, I didn't get his name, but I went through, what's that?
PP&D.
Property and planning?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so I did that, thought, okay. Then I applied for this. He said, you would be better off using this application and apply for the demolition. I don't know if you can trace it, but it's the same fellow who told me apply for a reduction in the price of the existing home if you were planning to demolish it. Yeah.
And you did that?
I did that. I was very happy with that reduction. But then I thought, I shouldn't be paying as if that's assessed. I honestly just thought, there's no way that land is worth 200 between 240 and 255,000 each one of those. I didn't think those lots were worth that. And they're certainly, for me, they're just part of my home package. But I thought that the assessment was probably out of whack. Personally, sorry, no offense. I mean, the one of them has got those city pipes right next to it. You know, it's on the corner lot. They don't have a view of the river. They're facing the houses across the street. It's not, and they would be fairly narrow. Well, I mean, at 75 looks good, but the houses on the rest of the street are massive homes that are set further back. So these 4 houses would be perched in front, looking at the neighbors across the street. And then next to them, they'd have houses back here, very big houses, 4 or 5 times the size of those builds. It would look ridiculous, which is why we said, if they're going to sell those, we're not interested in 70 Ridgedale either. You either sell it to us as one, or we're not interested. And as it turned out, the son said, you know, that's exactly our feeling. And we stopped our dad from developing it because we said, you actually you can't. It was left to us in Mom's will. So I'm thinking, well, I'm not even sure maybe I could contest that. He shouldn't have been able to. I mean, I knew the man, a wonderful man, but he didn't really have the right, I wouldn't think, to subdivide it if he didn't own it.
Correct.
Isn't that right? And actually, because I actually read it on, this is the survey that was given to us when we made our bid on it, and it says registered owners, and I just read it as James Franklin Charles Burns, but that's of Toronto. That's the son, and it says here too, as executor under the last will of Barbara Mary Burns, late of Winnipeg. So Jim Senior didn't own it. So it looks like I have to apply for another. I mean,
one piece.
I'll leave it over to you.
One piece. You should hire yourself a professional who does exactly this. Takes a look at the property, and they can break it down for you.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Everything I've looked at where you've got a bigger piece of property, your tax rate goes down.
And that's correct, is it not, Candace?
Yeah, typically the larger the lot, the price per ton.
And that's not, I promise, and I'm under oath, that's not what that gentleman told me. Says,
but that would be your relief mechanism. It would be to do it that way.
So can you?
Not that I'm advising you.
No, well, no, I tell you, I'm going to do that, and I'm actually closet angry enough about it that I might just say, look at you look back at the records and see who it was who told me this is the form you need to use and apply for a reduction in the taxes on the existing house.
Well, you can
Because
use
he
your
told me-
you can use your sale of your purchase price because it was 2000 and what?
19. Spring.
By the time you get it done, you'll be able to use it.
Sorry, by the time I get it done, what?
You can't use your 2019. Right now, you're looking at a 2018 value. And right now, we've moved it into another cycle where it's 18 is going to be one extra year on top of that.
Yeah, this gentleman let me apply for that adjustment. He said, because I can see that the notice of taxation was sent to Mr. Burns, and you didn't have possession at the time that notification. So, because it was past the 30 days, but he said, I'll give you an exception on that because you didn't have possession. You didn't know what the tax rate was going to be on it, presumably. And so, or you wouldn't have been able to contest it because you were past the date. So it's that gentleman who said, you're no further ahead if you roll it all into one package. It'll be the same rate. It's not, but that's not true.
What was the year he subdivided it?
I don't know. I think it was fairly recent, but I don't know. We had no idea it had been subdivided. Are you able to tell that?
I would have that in the office. I don't have it.
I do know that when his son said to him, because the son told me the story, he says, we said, no, Dad, you can't, you're not going to build, because he was getting ready to get builders. He said, you can't do that. And he says, well, I'm paying the taxes on it. So and that was just the story that the son told me. He says, yeah, Dad wasn't happy paying the taxes. So what? And so you think about it logically, the taxes probably went up quite a lot after he did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can't help me to do what I've figured I actually need to do. Can you at least help me with the tax rates on it?
Well, we can't drop them below what the value is, and the value with the information that's before us right now.
Pardon me?
With the information that's before us right now, it looks pretty much like the value is not that far off. Even you've basically said, if you took the whole package and put it together, right?
Well, no, I'm just using your assessment value. Yeah. I've just added up what I've got I've got access to is what you've got on the website. And when I add all of those together, it comes to $1.10 million. That's what I'm paying taxes on, a worth of $1.10 million. And I'm paying it as if it were small lots. I'm paying a very high rate of tax.
I can't give advice.
What's that?
We can't give advice, but
you can't.
I can't give you advice, but
well, I know what I'm going to do. I guess sure. at the end of the day, I can hope that it's going to take who knows how. I don't know how long it took me to get to see you guys for this. It's ridiculous, and so I'm going to keep paying taxes on this until I can get somebody to help me to roll it over. There'll be another application. I went through like 6 or 7 different departments just to try to get the demolition. And I did an actual circle, and the woman says, oh, I'm going to connect it to such. I said, no, you connected me to that one already. They connected me. It's, anyway, I guess that's a whole other issue.
Well, we got the pipes there anyway.
Well, that's the other thing. I had to get the water disconnected to be able to have the demolition, and the pipes wouldn't turn. So he said, well, it's not my problem. It's yours. You own the property. You have to take it. So I had to pay to have it excavated, and because it was stripped, I had to pay to get the whole thing stripped, and it's going to have to be replaced, and that's the homeowner's cost. Okay, you don't need to. You've been here long enough.
Thank you for coming out and visiting with us today, Kath.
Oh,
Thank you, patience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's a very nice lot.
You can't help me then. You can't help me on the.
Well, we'll be having a discussion. I'm only one person. Okay. We'll be having a discussion.
Okay.
And you'll be hearing back from us.
All right. Yes, I read that too.
Put the mask there. Let's close the meeting. Yeah, everything's done. We're done. Close the hearing.